SoCal Surf with Dan Nappy. Well, today was it was good when we first got there. We went to the Huntington Beach Cliffs, put in at Golden West, so we park in the north parking lot, but the very south end of it, and then you walk south until it drops down the Dog Beach, or the street there is called Golden West, and that's where we put in because the current was coming out of the south, moving us north. So I thought if we put in there, then we could drift, further north if we wanted. But it looks like it was breaking at Golden West, so we went in there. And when we first got there, it looked good. I mean, it was breaking outside, pretty hollow, pretty strong, and moving pretty fast. And by the time we got out, I caught one wave, which I'll get into later. But then after that, the wind started to come up. The tide was too high, and the waves just fizzled. So it was just, you chase a wave, you start paddling for it, then as you're catching it, it just disappears. And that's what happens in Huntington when it gets high tide and the waves aren't quite big enough. It just looks like it's going to break, and then it just doesn't. And the only thing left was shore break. There was nothing in the middle. And the shore break to get out was, again, serious. So you had to time that correctly or get hammered. And so we got in, paddled out. Like I said, the first wave was good. Good size, I should say. I took off, and I don't think I set my rail, so as I started to turn left, the board just disappeared from underneath my feet, so it must have dropped, must have jacked up and dropped on me, and as I turned, the board took off, and I just went face down into the face of the wave, and then got tumbled around, and it wasn't a bad tumble, but it was just really weird to make a turn with no board underneath your feet. And just dropped me. And then a few others, we got a few waves, just to ride them for a couple of seconds, and they fizzled. So it wasn't a real good day at the cliffs. It was pretty mediocre. A lot of good paddling, chasing waves, paddling. There was a nice set that came in further south from us, and me and another guy just started paddling with all of our strength to try to get to it, but you just couldn't get there fast enough. It broke, and it was too late for us to catch it. And it was a beautiful left, hollow. It would have been just awesome. Great wave, but just couldn't get to it. So there wasn't enough waves coming in that you could sit and wait. You had to chase after them. And you had to be lucky, because if you didn't catch it right at the peak, then by the time you got there, it would fizzle. So nothing would happen. So you had to be lucky, and you had to paddle a lot to stay in the takeoff zone. And it's quite large. So, I mean, we were spread out, 100 yards apart, trying to catch waves. So it was a lot of paddling and not a lot of surfing. And then the wind came up out of the south, which is instead of being the west, which is be normal summer type weather, but coming out of the south signifies that there's a storm coming in. So it's going to blow out early, and then tomorrow very iffy, if at all. It may be blown out early tomorrow morning, so may not be able to surf tomorrow. We're just going to have to wait and see what it looks like. And so there was it. There was a couple dolphins that drifted by, and a little bit of seaweed, and that was it. Some things in the ocean. So pretty fruitless day, I'd say, as far as surfing. You got to keep paddling, keep your paddling strength up. You don't want to get weak in that area. But I have a great board for that. It's not too small. It's a 7-footer, but it's very thin, very light. Pointy nose, square tail. I got that at Rockin' Figs on Main Street in Huntington Beach, which is, pretty good for getting boards. He's got the best prices on Main Street. And just a small little shop, but if you don't find what you like, he'll make it for you. And isn't that expensive? So I like that one. That's a good board, all-around board. I use it mostly at Newport. I usually get the smaller one at Huntington, but because of the high tide, I thought I'd better have something a little more buoyant. But someday soon, we're going to get some good surf, and I'll be on my smaller 6-footer, which is a LibTech, and that's boards made out of the same material they make snowboards out of. It's virtually indestructible. I mean, I've had it for a couple of years now, and there's not a single mark on it. And it just takes the abuse. It's just very hard, solid board. I think it's hollow. So that one's going to start coming out of the quiver coming real soon, so we'll see. And then that was it for surfing. Then getting in, again, the shore break is the problem. You can't just ride it in and get off. You have to time it. And two of the guys I was surfing with rode in and then jumped off before the shore break, and then just kind of tried to make their way in between the waves, which is very difficult. I waited for a wave to come in, and I just kept trying to find the right size and one that had a shoulder so I wouldn't get crunched. And that took about 5-10 minutes, but finally a wave came to me that looked like it was rideable. And so I took off on it, and I stood up, made a slight left turn, and the shore was coming up really fast. I mean, the sand was within feet. And so I had to jump off, and I jumped off, and I was in, waist to knee deep water, and the surfboard shot forward, just landed on the sand. And then the wave washed up me and the surfboard a little bit further up on the sand. I picked it up. It was covered with sand. I picked it up, kind of rinsed it off real quick before another wave came, and then just ran out and made it out okay. So it's just scary, that shore break. If you don't know what you're doing, just don't go in, because that could just nail you good. All right, that's it for today. Not a very good day, but we'll pick it up again tomorrow and see if we can't get an epic day here pretty soon. Something to talk about. Thanks for watching. Check out our sponsors, Merch Hero, Task Bullet, and happyclothing.com. Thanks for listening. Bye.